Introduction to the Legal and Ethical Framework. Good day and welcome to our second video in this series about security investigations, which is quite a long video. This video will provide insight to the legal and ethical framework for someone involved in investigations and forms the core or baseline knowledge an investigator must have. Before continuing, I just want to highlight again that this information and series is for awareness purposes and does not replace any formal training, nor does it provide any legal advice. Now to focus on this video, all investigations must be lawful and ethical. Unlawful actions can destroy a case. Basic overview. A. Rights and dignity. Individuals have rights. You may not intimidate, threaten, or coerce. B. Confidentiality. Information must be protected. Do not share details unnecessarily. C. Evidence handling. Evidence must be collected and stored properly. If compromised, it may be rejected. D. Fair process. Investigations must be fair and unbiased. This is critical for disciplinary processes. Final message. A strong case is built legally, not forcefully. Legal framework. What investigators must know. Most investigations don't fail because of poor evidence. They fail because of poor legal compliance. As investigator, the following is your baseline or core knowledge base, and you must have a good understanding of the laws, policies, and industry legal framework in order to do your work in a proper and compliant manner. If you or your investigators don't understand the legal and policy framework, they can lose cases at CCMA or expose the company to liability. Your investigators don't need to be lawyers, but they must understand the basics of these laws. A. The Labor Relations Act. This is the most important law for investigations in your role. If you don't follow fair process, your case will fail, even if the person is guilty. You must understand procedural fairness, substantive fairness, disciplinary processes, evidence requirements. B. Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Working hours, leave, employment conditions, important when investigating labor-related issues. C. Protection of Personal Information Act, POPIA. Critical for investigations, you must understand handling personal data, CCTV usage, sharing information. Key message. You cannot just collect and share information freely. D. Regulation of Interception of Communications Act, RICA. Monitoring communications. Phone, email interception. Critically important. Illegal monitoring leads to case collapse and legal risk. E. Criminal Procedure Act. Why the Criminal Procedure Act matters. Well, your work can end up in court, especially if you're doing an internal company investigation on incidents such as theft, fraud, assault, damage to property. These often become criminal cases. What this means? The way you collect evidence and statements must be acceptable in a criminal process. The CPA covers evidence handling basics, statements, and legal processes. As you probably already noted, we are going to spend quite some time on the Criminal Procedure Act in the next few slides before continuing with this video. CPA. Evidence must be handled correctly. The CPA governs how evidence is collected, how it is handled, how it is presented. If you get this wrong, evidence can be rejected. Case can collapse. Example. You tamper with evidence. You don't document chain of custody. Result. Evidence is unreliable. Your case fails. CPA statements must be properly taken. The CPA influences how statements are recorded, voluntariness, accuracy. Critical point. A forced or influenced statement can be thrown out. Example. You pressure a suspect to confess. That statement becomes useless. CPA, your limitations as a security officer. This is where many security teams get into trouble. The CPA defines who can arrest, under what conditions, what procedures must be followed. Important, You are not the police. You must know when you can detain, when to call SAPs, what you are legally allowed to do. Security officers who conduct unlawful arrests may face criminal charges, civil liability, and disciplinary action. Always ensure that your actions are lawful, justified, and necessary. You can be personally charged. CPA handover to SAPs. When a case escalates, you hand over evidence, statements, findings. If your work is not aligned with CPA principles, SAPs may reject it. Prosecutor may not use it. Final message: investigate every case as if it may end up in court. CPA, real case failure example. What went wrong in this scenario? A security investigator responded to a theft incident at a warehouse. A suspect was identified through CCTV and questioned on site. What went wrong? The suspect was pressured into admitting involvement. The statement was not properly recorded. Evidence was handled by multiple people with no record. CCTV footage was not properly documented. The outcome: at the disciplinary hearing and later at CCMA, the case failed. Why did the case fail? Statement deemed unreliable. Evidence chain broken. Investigation process unfair. Lesson: even when the suspect was likely involved, the case failed due to poor investigative practices. This is why following proper legal procedures is critical. A weak investigation will always result in a weak case. Investigator's Legal Pocket Guide. Industry regulations. Private security. Industry Regulatory Authority, Sierra. Investigators must know. Code of conduct. Legal limitations. Professional standards. Key message: you are regulated. Your conduct matters. Company policies and site-specific rules, SOPs. This is where most investigators fail. You must understand the disciplinary code, HR policies, investigation procedures, evidence handling procedures, and the access control policies. Site-specific rules. Especially for an environment such as mines and industrial sites, you must understand the site rules, safety regulations, access control rules, and contractor policies. For example, diesel theft investigation must align with site fuel control procedures. Final key message: your investigation must align with company policy, not just the law. Ethical principles. Investigators must be objective, avoid bias, respect rights, maintain confidentiality, and act professionally. You must not force confessions, threaten individuals, manipulate evidence, or conduct illegal searches. Final message for this training module. As an investigator, you must operate within 3 key frameworks, namely, firstly, the law, secondly, industry regulations, and thirdly, company policies. If you fail in any one of these, your investigation can fail. You do not need to be a lawyer, but you must understand the rules that guide your work. Many investigations fail at CCMA, not because the person is innocent, but because the investigation was not conducted properly. Simple rule to remember: law plus policy plus fairness equals a valid investigation. Disclaimer. We have come to the end of Video 2, Legal and Ethical Framework, of our series of training videos about investigations and investigators. It is now up to you to ensure you have the necessary legal and procedural knowledge to transform you from an investigator to a good investigator. This video is provided for training purposes only and is not intended to replace formal legal or professional advice. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, the information presented may not cover all legal or procedural requirements applicable to specific situations. Users of this material remain responsible for ensuring compliance with all relevant legislation, policies, and industry standards. Improper or unlawful investigative practices may result in disciplinary, civil, or criminal consequences. The use of this content is at the viewer's own discretion and risk. Have a great day, and please follow us for the third video in this series, which will focus on the investigator's first response to the incident scene.